the table John's grandfather had made out of fur. Wind gusted through the patch of land where John and his wife kept a vegetable garden in warmer months. The trees bounding his property to the south had shed their foliage, revealing the precipice preceding the sharp plunge to the Piney Creek Gorge, 1,000 feet below. In the distance, benches of bare earth lined a stretch of the hillside, the scars of long-finished strip mining. A railway ran through the gorge, and sometimes when John went for walks in the trails he kept clear behind his house, he still heard the coal trains rumbling through. This land of scarred beauty had forged both John and the man now seated in his kitchen, a long-time coal miner named Gary Fox. Though they had started life in different worlds, both had come of age amid the political tumult of the late 1960s and the historic coal miners' rebellion that had swept southern West Virginia at the time. Both had made lives for themselves and their families here, in the heart of Appalachia, and both had spent decades working, straining against setbacks, building something bigger than themselves. John was a rarity here in the coal fields, a lawyer who was willing to help coal miners navigate an abstruse legal system in pursuit of modest monthly payments and medical coverage as recompense for the disease that robbed their breath, the old scourge with the disturbingly accurate name, black lung. Most lawyers wouldn't touch these cases. They were complex, time-consuming, and fiercely contested. Coal companies and their lawyers made sure of that. Success rates were low, and even after a win, a miner's lawyer had to prevail in yet another round of legal combat against the company to collect fees that barely kept the lights on. Yet this was the only type of case John took, the only type he'd ever wanted to take. It was why, a few years earlier, he had gone to law school at age 53 and emerged with a load of student debt he would still be paying off long after others his age had retired. Law was his fourth vocation. The first three, community organizer, carpenter, and rural medical clinic staffer, might suggest the incongruous roving of a restless soul, but John saw each one of them, as well as his current one, as variations of the same job, which he described as trying to be of use. Here, in the house he'd built with his own hands in a small community on the outskirts of Beckley, the nearest thing to a big city southern West Virginia coal country had, he ran a solo practice. He had no assistants, no secretaries, no paralegals. Each case was John versus the coal company. His kitchen was the de facto meeting room, and directly overhead on the second floor was his office, a small space covered in manila folders bearing the names of sick miners or their widows, each file stuffed with legal and medical arcana designed to befuddle and discourage those who couldn't find a lawyer like John. Spare shelf space held family photos, and on the wall hung a portrait of Mary Harris, Mother Jones, the labor activist and miner's angel who had adopted West Virginia as her second home. A famous quote of hers was inscribed beside her bespectacled face: "Pray for the dead and fight like hell for the living." John's comportment more closely resembled that of his clients than that of his fellow members of the bar. He favored corduroys or jeans and plaid button-downs. His mop of brown-gray hair and soft voice conveyed a certain boyishness. He had the sturdy frame and calloused palms of a laborer. Gary had found him only through a stroke of luck, a recommendation from a legendary doctor who had been conducting pioneering research into black lung and treating miners for more than 40 years at a small clinic in Beckley. John had liked Gary from the first time they spoke on the phone about 7 months earlier. But before he agreed to take the case, he needed to gauge whether they would have any shot at winning. Together, in John's kitchen, the two men were now trying to figure that out. This was one of the last stages in a system John had set up. The goal was to take as many cases as he could while making sure his one-man operation didn't get hopelessly overstretched.